Hello, Forsty friends. So, this video is the result of an experiment I'm trying to do. As you all may know, I take too long to make videos. This is just an objective fact. My Nunama review video took a while because of the recap slides, my Courier Alter video had me making 2 designs with holes, and this current Tuha video I'm making has me animating a scene while pulling my hair out in stress. With the risk of sounding like a little pretentious whiny baby man, this video takes a lot of research and analysis for me. And I also have a lot of IRL obligations that make things 10 times harder. I obviously like that I put my all in my videos, but it does feel a bit unsustainable for my own well-being. So I decided to try making smaller whatever videos. Obviously I was still trying my best to make these good videos, but I just can't keep having big projects that take me months to make at a time. If you have a problem with that, I don't know, go donate to my Ko-Fi or something in protest. To make it a little bit more interesting, I'm starting to do this thing where I'm getting my Discord server involved by voting on what kind of video topic I should do next, with a double elimination kind of deal, where a topic that gets last place twice in the polls will be forever eliminated until further notice. A lot of these topics are things that I have a lot of thoughts on, but I don't think I could make a whole big video about them, as they are kind of just my thoughts on stuff. So what stuff has my Discord server decided they wanted to hear about? The choices were a video talking about all pianists, a video talking about how Arknights Enfield could tell a story using its time gap, and a video talking about the R6S collab and how I genuinely think it's a perfect Arknight story. The Discord server chose the last one, if you couldn't tell. I hit my table there. I don't know if you could hear that. Arknights has been getting more and more collabs as time goes on, from cafe collabs, pop-ups, and even with some pretty well-known artists. As a somewhat veteran player, it's honestly kind of mind-boggling how much Arknights has grown to be able to get to this extent, because I remember it being a big deal when the first IP Star Cafe was introduced back in 2020, and now they're collabing with Sanrio. That's really huge! Do you have any idea how much money Sanrio asks for collabs? Them's the big bucks leagues, baby! Right now, Arknights has 5 big collabs within the game. The most recent one is Sanrio with some exclusive skins and packs, Monster Hunter with a whole new ass alter character alongside a story event, the upcoming Dungeon Meshi collab, and 2 Rainbow Six Siege events. We are never getting the Destiny collab, please stop expecting it. The earliest Arknights collab was the first R6S event, Operation Originium Dust, and I genuinely believe it is the most perfect Arknight story and a genius way to get newcomers immersed into your story. For context, I don't play R6S and I never will. Voice chats make me anxious and the stress of multiplayer online play makes me want to vomit. This collab event is one of the best stories that I think Arknights has to offer. It made me fall in love with these characters from a genre of game that I don't give a cum about. And to explain why, I'm going to have to explain the overall context of Arknights events, starting with...
Who are Arknights collabs for?
Now you might be hearing this and going, Autumn, it's obvious. It's for attracting a certain group of people that like a certain type of media to Arknights. And like, yeah, I mean, I also think the events are meant for people that lie within the Venn diagram of people that like Arknights and people that like the collab event media. But yeah, people can like multiple things at once, and sometimes those things can have an overlap between each other. I don't play Monster Hunter at all, but from what I have seen from observing the group of people that do, they seem to enjoy the challenge of it. So it makes sense to assume that people that enjoy a challenging game like Monhunt would enjoy a challenging game like Arknights. They may be completely different in a lot of ways, but you could see how they overlap in that sense. But that overlap can only go so far. How many people are out there in the world that like playing shooter games and care about R6S enough to check out a collab with a niche little game that's just balloons but anime? We also have these things called copyright and IPs and legal contracts. It's really hard to sell the idea of, hey, can we put your characters and branding in our game forever or whenever we feel like it, to companies, especially Eastern companies like Capcom or fucking Sanrio. So when the event finishes, it's gone, man. The first R6S event only reran because they had a second R6S event that was running simultaneously with it. And this is where I think it gets hard for these events to hook beginner players. Personally, I'd feel really bad if a new player got into Arknights because of the Dungeon Meshi collab, missed out on some content for one reason or another, and just couldn't get that stuff ever again. Especially since the gameplay of Arknights is one of the hardest to get into. Okay, Arknights isn't fucking Lobotomy Corporation where you feel like you need to have 2 brains buttons and 10 arms to be able to play, and there are guides to copy and make your life easier. It is still, however, a game that contains a lot of nuances and so much information to know and remember. I remember first playing Arknights and being so overwhelmed by everything, and there were people that almost gave up on the game because of a tutorial stage. Arknights is very fun and intuitive. One of the best things about it is how the devs are able to do new shit with its gameplay in every new event, either through small gimmicks or by making the gameplay completely different between game modes. Yet that also just adds the overwhelming information that newbies need to process. If you are new to the game, you are likely to not completely finish your first event. That is simply part of the Arknights experience, but it does get a bit sad within the context of these incredibly limited and exclusive events. So if getting the newbies into the gameplay of Arknights is going to be tough, well, how do you get the people that started an account for an event interested and motivated to keep going? Through the lore and story of Arknights. Rainbow Six Siege was the first ever collab event for Arknights. It was also the 9th out of the 34 events in Arknights we have now, as of writing the script. It was released a year after Arknights' global release. This would be one of Arknights' big chances to be perceived in the mainstream outside of us weebs, nerds, and geeks. What kind of story can you tell with that? To a potential audience that knows absolutely nothing about you or your game setting, and to get them attached to it as quickly as possible. Well, you tell an Isekai story.
What is in Operation Originium Dust store and why it's so good?
I'm not going to do a full recap like I usually do in my videos. Instead, I'll try to give the general gist of the story using my memory, wiki.gg, and a dream. Alongside it, I'll be giving my thoughts on it. If you want to know the full story, I really do recommend you read it yourself. There's a YouTube channel called Shoal that has re-uploaded the entire story, so I'll link it down below. There's also an oversimplified version of the story by Frostbite that I'll also link. So this is how it goes. Our heroes from Earth, Ash, Tachanka, Blitz, and Frost are on a mission to confront some evil Russian scientist that is using these weird black glowing crystals that is only going to be later introduced as Originium for evil Russian scientist things. Unfortunately, when they confront the guy, he blows a big old machine up and that teleports the entire team to Terra, the world of Arknights. Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said this was an Isekai. And already, what an amazing setup. I know the Isekai genre gets memed on a lot, but already, by embracing that genre in this story, it solves a few narrative issues that could be brought up from this collab. First of all, it explains why a bunch of humans from normal Earth gets to now interact with Terra, magic sci-fi stuff involving Originium. While now we can make theories as to why Originium allowed this to happen, even for Arknights players at this point in time, it was still pretty mysterious. All we knew was that it's a great source of fuel and energy, but also causes a really bad sickness, which we'll get into how they introduced that as well. It's so good. Secondly, it's a great setup for both newcomers and also for people that were already familiar with Arknights at the time. Newcomers get to instantly relate to how Team Rainbow are experiencing this new world, and people like me get to relish in the reactions Team Rainbow has to how fucked up Terra is. And man, is it fucked up! The literal nanosecond Team Rainbow gets teleported to Terra, they get attacked by a big metal crab. And I already love this, because Team Rainbow are fucking flabbergasted by the size of the thing, and the only way they can take it down is by having it ram into the wall of their only shelter, the lab that got teleported with them. And again, this is already a really strong scene, not only for dumb beginners, but even for Arknights players. Tachanka mentions that the crab is the size of a small car, and they realize pretty quick that not only do their bullets do jack shit, Blitz also got his shield chomped pretty hard. This not only introduces to newbies that their beloved military professionals are out of their depth, it also gives a good scale of how hard these enemies are in human standards. For context, the metal crab is basically a common enemy. I mean, they're used to introduce the pushing mechanic and have high defense, but after a while they're pretty much close to trash mobs. You're telling me that all this time they were as big as a small car? I don't know about anyone else, but I just assumed they were as big as the dog enemies. And this type of thing happens over and over throughout the story that really helps contextualize the world of Arknights. Team Rainbow are humans, but they're also military personnel, so while they gawk at the fuckery happening in Terra, they do also have the ability to describe certain things in a way that makes sense to them, like describing the average magic blast or arts in Arknights terms as having the same power of a grenade. There's also a scene that shows the difference between normal humans and Terrans in regards to their weapons and physical strength. You see Tachanka having trouble loading up a basic crossbow and then remember Cruz, and you're like, oh shit! It's really good stuff. Oh yeah, the Arknights characters being featured alongside this event is Shores, Franca, Luskarm, and Rangers, who are all characters that also got to shine because of the event, so it's a treat for us Arknights players too. And throughout all of this, Team Rainbow are presented excellently in terms of personality. However, there's the criticism of Ash and Tachanka getting most of the screen time. To be quite frank, I see that as a trade-off because I think Ash and Tachanka needed all of that screen time to really be able to express their thoughts and views towards the world of Arknights. It also very easily introduces the overarching theme of Arknights in a basic and simple way towards new players, without having to necessarily sacrifice the complexity and nuance that surrounds it. Okay, to really properly explain it, let me just show you my absolutely favorite scene in the entire event. Spoilers for a major climax in the event, either read the event or skip to this part. For context, at first Team Rainbow wanted to stay completely out of the troubles of the world of Arknights, but this obviously changes when things get a bit more spicy in the story. At some point, Team Rainbow gets help by a character named Miaro, a doctor of the village that Team Rainbow sought shelter in. Miaro is very kind and helps Team Rainbow and the village a lot, and wants to explore and see the world outside of his small village. He did not get to see the world. Unfortunately, Miaro dies sacrificing himself using a very rare arts that made him more suitable to be a soldier than a doctor, an arts to make Originium explode. Tachanka loses his cool, and Blitz is trying to stop him from beating an enemy soldier into a pulp from the pure rage he's feeling. Ash and Frost grieve while Schwartz apologizes for not being able to do anything. And then Miaro's oripathy crystals start glowing. Schwartz, Luskarm, and Franca panic. Franca is confused over why it's happening so soon, and Luskarm yells that they need an empty room now. They bring Miaro's dead body into a little house. The Arknights characters are frantically searching for any cloth to cover the doors, windows, vents, chimneys, anything to make sure Miaro was completely sealed inside. Team Rainbow are confused. Everyone that has spent any amount of time in this world, though, is not. Miaro's body disintegrates right before Ash's eyes into glowing Originium Dust. An infected returns to the earth that birthed him. We get to see Miaro's funeral, and the elderly give their eulogy on how Miaro was spared the suffering of existence now that he has returned to dust and earth, just as they all will one day. Tachanka comforts Ash throughout it, reflecting on Miaro's death. Ash expresses regret, feeling responsible for what happened, feeling that despite trying to help, they didn't really know the struggles of the infected, didn't really know what oripathy was. Tachanka tells Ash about the things he saw in Miaro's clinic, the amount of people he saw carrying body bags every day to the outskirts of town. He tells her that while they can't understand the struggles of the people of this world, it was still important that they helped. Even when this world sucks so bad to the point that it makes their efforts seem futile, it was important that they still tried. They needed to. And that's a really big theme in Arknights, that no matter how much shit the world is in, no matter how bleak things are, you need to keep trying. You need to help people. You need to keep doing something about how shitty the world is. Because that is where our morals and consciousness lies. That will always be better than sitting things out and not getting involved. This scene is so good. Not only does it introduce what Arknights is all about, it also just adds a treat of realism when you see what the procedure for when an infected dies. It really adds some grittiness when they realistically want to make sure that the death particles that Miaro is emitting doesn't leak into the outside. And the entire conversation between Ash and Tachanka, oh my god, I want to eat this event so much! There is so much in this event that I cut out because it would essentially just be saying the same thing over and over again, but fuck. This is how you do a crossover event. It completely respects both of the materials being crossed over and delivers a story and experience that is great for both people that are coming into the event and for veterans of AK. Please, I beg of you, read this event. It is a good goddamn story. I was about to wrap up here, but then I remembered something about this event that is a little bit funny to me. I remember when the first R6S event came out and everyone freaked out about Team Rainbow's weapons being brought into Terra. For context, there's a lot of comparisons made between the weapons of the Arknights crew and Team Rainbow. I'm just gonna leave that stutter in. Fuck you. Team Rainbow can't really use a lot of the weapons provided by Rhodes Island because they all use Originium and need arts to be fired or used. Yes, you require a bit of magical ability to use the guns in the world of Arknights. That's how dependent Terrans are on Originium. So because of this, the Arknights characters are all also very amazed at Team Rainbow's weapons because they produce the same amount of firepower without using Originium, which is pretty huge. The silly part is that I saw people saying how super duper dangerous this is for Terra to be introduced to non-Originium weapons, and things are going to get worse because of Team Rainbow's arrival, and gang. First of all, Sessa has been in the game for like a year before Team Rainbow came in. This guy has been selling non-Originium weapons in the black market for a while now. Secondly, Terra is pretty good at dooming itself. 4 humans coming in with special weapons is like a drop in the ocean of problems Terra has. Literal ocean of problems. Thirdly, I don't necessarily think that humans and Terrans are better than each other. Like, that's kind of the whole point of the event, that yeah, there are some big major differences between Earth and Terra, they're still somewhat the same in the end. Yes, Team Rainbow's weapons are super cool, and according to their files, they all have their own talents that make them being in Rhodes Island really valuable. They also cannot produce fireballs from their hands, and loading a simple crossbow takes more than Tachanka's strength. Also, from what's being said in Team Rainbow's files, the engineers in Rhodes Island just genuinely cannot make heads or tails of their weapons. And yeah, how could they? Think about it. It'd be like if we'd have to analyze the tools or weapons of humans that can see a different spectrum of color and had 10 arms and eyes, and they're just like, yeah, so it's simple really. If you just add the Glorpa and the Shaduda, we'll be able to see this apple-shaped colors. Insanity! From the looks of it, making non-Originium weapons, for now, is far too difficult and is probably way more inefficient than just teaching a guy how to use arts. And while it would be genuinely devastating for such weapons to exist, the knowledge of it is actively being suppressed as well, according to Sessa's files. I get it, hindsight is 20/20, but also I have been having these thoughts since I first saw the discussion when the event came out. Let me have this.
Outro.
So yeah, those are my thoughts. I really tried to keep shit as brief as possible, but this event gives me so much brainworms. I just wanted to talk about how goddamn good this event is because a lot of people only really talk about the memes. The memes are very funny, but there's more to the event story than that, and I hope my little propaganda video here can convince you to give it a shot. I beg. Onegai! Anyways, if you like this video, like, subscribe, do all the things YouTubers ask you to do, yada yada yada. If you like the art I made here for this video, I have commissions and my Ko-Fi open. If you want to see some exclusive stuff or just my stuff in higher quality. You could also get monthly memberships to get your name read out at the end of the video like this. Thank you to Kaiser, Legion, and J8 for the memberships on Ko-Fi. I appreciate it very much. Y'all are very cool. Anyways, that's all from me. Stay safe, my foresty friends.